There's a moment, and you won't see it coming, when your body decides it's done listening to you. Your brain has been sending warnings for months, maybe years. Small ones at first, a headache that won't leave, a jaw clenched so tight you crack a tooth in your sleep, a feeling in your chest like someone parked a car on it. But you ignore it because you're busy, because people depend on you, because you're this close to making it. And then, one day, on an ordinary Tuesday, in the middle of an ordinary meeting, your lungs just stop cooperating. This is the story of Marcus, the man who had everything on paper and nothing left inside. The man who forgot how to breathe. Marcus Cole grew up on the south side of Chicago. His mother worked 2 jobs, nights at a hospital, mornings at a laundromat. His father left when he was 6, not dramatically, not with a fight. He just didn't come home one Thursday and never explained why. Marcus learned something early from that. You survive by becoming someone people can't leave behind. You become indispensable. So he worked. God, did he work. Straight A's through a school that barely had enough textbooks, a scholarship to the University of Illinois, a degree in finance, then an entry-level job at a consulting firm downtown, the kind of place where the elevators smell like espresso and ambition. By 28, he was a senior analyst. By 30, a manager. By 32, he was leading a team of 15 people, pulling in a salary his mother cried about when he told her. He bought her a house, paid off her debt, put a photo of her on his desk next to his laptop, right beside the energy drinks he needed just to get through Tuesday. And that's the thing about climbing. When you come from nothing, there is no top. There's just higher, and the air gets thinner, but you don't notice because you forgot what breathing normally even felt like. Marcus hadn't taken a vacation in 4 years. He answered emails at midnight. He skipped meals not because he wasn't hungry, but because eating felt like wasting time. He slept 5 hours a night and called it discipline. His girlfriend, Aisha, they'd been together 3 years, started saying something he didn't understand at the time. She said, "You're here, but you're not here." He thought she was being dramatic. She wasn't. The panic attack came on a Tuesday, October 14th. He remembers the date because it was the day before a major presentation to the firm's biggest client. He was sitting in a conference room, 8 people around the table, PowerPoint on the screen. Someone was talking about quarterly projections, and then, like someone flipped a switch inside his chest, his heart started hammering. Not fast, violent. His vision narrowed. The room started shrinking. He could hear his own blood. He tried to take a breath, and it felt like inhaling through a coffee straw. He stood up, mumbled something about the restroom, walked out, made it to the hallway, and then his legs gave out. He sat on the floor of a corporate hallway, 43rd floor, corner office view, and he cried. Not gracefully, not quietly, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere so deep you didn't even know it existed. A security guard found him, asked if he needed an ambulance. Marcus said no, said he was fine, said it was just low blood sugar. He wasn't fine. He hadn't been fine for a very long time. The doctor used words that didn't make sense to Marcus. Generalized anxiety disorder, chronic stress response, adrenal fatigue, burnout. Burnout. He hated that word. It sounded like something that happened to people who weren't strong enough, people who didn't have what it takes. The doctor told him to take a leave of absence. Marcus said, "I can't. People are counting on me." The doctor looked at him and said something that broke him open. "Marcus, your resting heart rate is 101 beats per minute. You're 33 years old and your body thinks it's running from a predator 24 hours a day. If you don't stop, your body will stop for you, and it won't ask permission." He drove home that night and sat in the parking lot of his apartment building for 45 minutes, engine off, lights off, just sitting. He called Aisha. She didn't answer. She'd been answering, emotionally, for months. He just hadn't noticed. He was too busy being indispensable. That night, Marcus did something he hadn't done since he was a child. He lay on the floor of his living room, not the bed, the floor, and he prayed. Not to anyone specific, just outward, into the dark. I don't know how to stop. Someone please teach me how to stop. The next 3 months were the worst of Marcus's life, and also, though he didn't know it yet, the most important. He took a medical leave. His company approved it reluctantly. His team sent a card. His boss sent a text that said, "Take care of yourself. We need you back." Even the concern had a deadline. For the first 2 weeks, Marcus barely left his apartment. He slept 12, sometimes 14 hours a day. His body was collecting a debt that had been building for years. He watched the ceiling, ordered food he didn't eat. He Googled, "Am I having a nervous breakdown?" at 3 in the morning, and read forums full of people who sounded exactly like him. And in a strange, terrible way, that was the first moment of healing. Reading those words from strangers, realizing he was not a unique failure, he was a common one. Millions of people were lying on their floors at 3 in the morning, wondering where they went wrong. The turning point didn't come as an explosion, it came as a whisper. One morning, he doesn't remember exactly when, he woke up and walked outside. Not to go anywhere, just to stand in the sun. He stood on the sidewalk in front of his building in sweatpants and a t-shirt he'd worn for 3 days, and he felt the sun on his face. And for the first time in months, maybe years, he took a full breath. Not a gasp, not a shallow survival breath, a real one. The kind that fills your whole chest and makes your shoulders drop. It lasted maybe 4 seconds, but it cracked something open. Recovery didn't look like a movie montage. There was no training sequence, no dramatic breakthrough on a therapist's couch. It was slow, unglamorous, and full of setbacks. Marcus started therapy, not the kind where someone tells you to visualize success, the kind where you sit in a room and say things out loud that you've never said to anyone. Like, "I don't know who I am without my job. I think I became successful because I was afraid of becoming my father. I don't think I've ever felt safe." Saying those words out loud in a quiet room in downtown Chicago, that took more courage than any boardroom presentation he'd ever given. He started walking. Every morning, no podcast, no phone, just walking and noticing things. The way the light hit the lake, the sound of kids on a playground, the smell of someone's backyard grill on a Sunday. He'd been living in Chicago for 11 years and had never actually seen it. He started cooking. Simple things: eggs, rice, vegetables. The act of standing in a kitchen and making something with his hands for no one but himself felt like a radical act. He'd spent a decade producing, optimizing, delivering. Making scrambled eggs with no deadline was the most rebellious thing he'd ever done. He called his mother, not to update her, not to report progress, just to talk. She said something near the end of the call. She said, "Baby, I never needed that house. I just needed you to be okay." He couldn't respond. He just held the phone and let the silence say what he couldn't. Marcus didn't go back to his old job. He went back to work, but differently. He took a position at a smaller firm. Less money, less prestige, more air. He set boundaries he would have laughed at 3 years ago. No emails after 7 p.m., lunch away from his desk, 1 week off every quarter, non-negotiable. His new boss asked him in the interview, "What's your biggest strength?" Marcus said, "I know what happens when you don't stop, so I stop." He got the job. He and Aisha didn't get back together. That was a grief he had to carry honestly. But he understood now she hadn't left him. She'd left the ghost that was wearing his clothes and answering to his name. He was learning to be a person again, a whole one, not a resume, not a performance, a person. Marcus is 35 now. He still has anxiety. He still has hard days, days where the old engine revs up and tells him he's falling behind, he's not enough, he's one mistake away from becoming his father. But now he hears it. He doesn't obey it. He hears it, and he breathes, and he lets it pass through him like weather. He told me something I haven't been able to forget. He said, "I used to think coming back meant going back to who I was before, getting the corner office again, getting the girl again, proving I could handle it. But that's not what a comeback is. A comeback is becoming someone who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. If you're on the floor right now, literally or metaphorically, I want you to know something. The floor is not your ending, it's your foundation. It's the place where you finally stop falling and start feeling the ground beneath you. You don't need to bounce back tomorrow. You don't need a 5-step plan. You just need one breath, one real one. Start there. This is Human Comeback, and this is just the first story. There are millions more. Maybe yours is one of them. If this story reached you, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And remember, healing isn't a straight line, but you're already on it.